successful and well-policed event. We didn't have any incidents surrounding the activities at the two venues. All routes were well managed. We continue to remember our fallen heroes. The general security situation, once again, is peaceful and calm internally and along our borderlines. We don't have any incidents of security concern. There was a foiled abduction along our border with the South Sudan. That was at Yumbe. You know, we have pockets of violence along that borderline. So we are happy that our joint security agencies, that is the police and UPDF, responded to an alleged abduction of a refugee from Pajirinya settlement called Songa Ismail. He was allegedly abducted after he had left the refugee camp and went to Mijale Trading Center, which is in Yumbe district, and it is from there that suspected soldiers from the South Sudan People's Defense Force abducted him. It followed an allegation from another refugee called Abate Joseph, who claimed that this Songa Ismail had a gun that he had used to threaten residents in South Sudan. So that was the background. But upon further investigation, we also noticed that Abate Joseph also had personal issues with Songa Ismail surrounding his wife. I think he suspected the wife of having an extramarital relationship with Songa Ismail. So we managed to foil this abduction, rescued Songa Ismail, and we have the matter being investigated by the police in Yumbe. Of course, these acts of foreign soldiers not respecting the integrity of our borderline is a concern, and we cannot continue allowing that to happen. It is the authorities on both sides are addressing that concern. Now we have two suspects who were arrested in Webaji. And we are happy because the victim, identified as Mbadiremo Maria, a mobile money dealer, aged 28 and shop owner in Webaji Cell, managed to, she made the disturbance call to our police at Webaji CPS, using the police counter number. You know, we've been encouraging the public, please make use of the police counter numbers. They can help you in case of an emergency. So this was a victim who is a mobile money dealer, had her shop open up to 11 p.m. And she was attacked by an armed thug who had a pistol and robbed about 3 million shillings from her. And after the incident, she immediately called the police at Webaja, and we responded to the scene. We managed to arrest one of the residents called Bugaya Edrin, aged 20, who was a personal friend to the shop, to the victim. But at the same time, on further investigations, we established that Bugaya Edrin had connived had actually connived with the Bahati Chiseka, aged 27, a thug who was in possession of the pistol. So upon arresting Bugaya, we interrogated him, and he led us to the arrest of Bahati Chiseka. We managed to recover the unmarked pistol, which we established that Chiseka smuggled into the country from South Sudan, where he was working. So he returned with this pistol so that it can facilitate their criminal enterprise. It appears this was their first incident of robbery, because they were both amateurs in the way they conducted the robbery. We managed to recover, in addition to the unmarked pistol, we recovered 1.5 million, a black jumper, a hood, face masks. When we recovered their phones, we got to supporting messages about the conspiracy to rob Mbadiremo Maria. And so we are happy that Maria really made good use of the police counter numbers. The system works very well. And we also want to urge the public that however much the situation is, investing in a criminal enterprise is very, very wrong. There are consequences, like these two now being charged for being in possession of an illegal firearm, robbery, and conspiracy, among others. Now, these two suspects we are talking about are these two young gentlemen, the way you can see, still young and trying to use, they managed to acquire a pistol, smuggled it from South Sudan so that they can use it in crime. The pistol that we recovered is an incident of gang rape of a 17-year-old victim. This incident happened in North Choga region, and where Kole CPS have in custody 4 suspects who conspired and gang raped a 17-year-old female juvenile and assaulted her 2 male friends who were escorting her back home from a disco. This was last week at Ochokan cell in Aboke Town Council in Oyam district. The findings we've gathered indicate that the victim, aged 17, left the disco dance at around 3 a.m. in the company of 2 male friends who were escorting her home. Along the way, they were attacked by a group of 5 men who were armed with pangas. They assaulted and intimidated the male friends who were escorting the victim, leaving the girl victim behind. So the suspects grabbed the victim and took her to the house of one of their accomplices called Okot, and who left for them his house. And these 4 suspects started sexually assaulting this girl victim in turns. Now, this is very, very dangerous and a life-threatening incident. The good part of it is that one of the male friends who was escorting her alerted the chairman, LC1, who swiftly responded, alerted police, and they went and rounded up the home and arrested the 4 suspects red-handed with the victim. These include Okelo Martin, aged 23, Kibota Bernard, aged 25, Oliang Patrick, aged 23, and Nam Aaron, aged 20. We rescued the victim and rushed her to Aboke Hospital where she's getting post-rape treatment and therapy. Efforts are in place to trace for a court the owner of the house and any other accomplices. But of course, you know that these are late night incidents at 3 a.m., which is very, very dangerous. Anything could have happened to this 17-year-old female juvenile. If you are not sure of your company at night, it's better you stay at your place or at the venue until morning, then you can start finding your way back home. I remember last week we registered an incident where a mother murdered her own 3-year-old baby child due to neglect from the father. Now again this week again, we've registered another incident where a 30-year-old mother is being charged for drowning her 1-month-old daughter. This incident happened in North Choga, and Oyam CPS have in custody one Acheng Sharon, aged 30, a housewife of Amone, a village that is in Loro Sub-County, for the alleged murder by drowning of her 1-month-old daughter called Auma. This happened last week on the 9th. The suspect developed a motive after a domestic misunderstanding with her husband and father to the victim, which forced her to leave the home. So while heading to her grandmother's home, she dumped her daughter in a swamp called Kulu, that is in Loro Sub-County, where she drowned and died. Of course, the body of the victim was recovered, and we traced the mother and had her arrested. Of course, we don't have words that can explain the ruthless acts of such mothers, but such an incident demonstrates the deadly consequences of domestic violence. And of course, as the police, we want to affirm our steadfast commitment to fighting and preventing such tragedies by holding accountable child violators and killers. Our thoughts are with the families of the 1-month-old. Then last, we had a video that continued to be shared. Now, the continuous recycling of old videos where people continue to misinform the public. Others get videos of violence from different countries or across the globe, and using AI, they create deep fake videos and try to customize them as incidents of violence that could have occurred within our country. Now, we want to warn the public against misinformation, against the recycling of old videos of violence, attacks, and torture, and creating deepfake videos. These acts of spreading false statements and videos of violence attacks, we are aware, are aimed at stoking fear and panic among the public. For instance, despite the fact that the police has not registered a flying kick and grab attack for the last 2.5 weeks, and or a ride-along attack on borders, we've noticed that there are negative elements who are sharing old videos like the one of 2022, that ride-along attack. I remember we arrested Pancho. I told Luke to share that statement. That ringleader was arrested, and 4 others were charged to court for aggravated robberies. Now, It's really a concerning trend that people are not vigilant. They cannot distinguish what happened way back in 2022, 2020, and they take interest. And the bad part of it is that when we correct, when we verify the facts surrounding that video, it is not shared at the same pace like the deep fake video, like the old recycled video. You don't see people sharing the corrected version like the way they share that bad, disturbing video images. So you wonder what Ugandans really want. They are interested in violence. We are not going to allow for this. So we are calling upon all people who are on digital platforms at least to be more vigilant and should be critical while scrutinizing social media content. They should avoid sharing unverified videos of violence. This can spread misinformation and even cause panic. We all need to be responsible while consuming and disseminating information in this digital age. Like, for instance, after the other last incident of flying kick and grab, we've changed our security posture within the Central Business District, and of course, which has been impactful. For the last 14, 15 days, we've not registered any new such kind of attack. So we are doing everything within our means to keep Ugandans safe. And this time round, we are going to fast track the court cases of these suspects who have been taken to court and ensure that at least they are jailed for a significant amount of time. We have our police there investigating allegations at Wagagai gold mine, which is a Chinese-owned company located in Alupe village, Busia municipality. We have an incident where one of the supervisors who is in charge security, only called Ma, one of the Chinese supervisors, is alleged for having assaulted two workers, that is Ouma Henry and Chisubi Ali, on allegations that on suspicion of them having stolen electric wires from the company's workshop. So, of course, this is an act of impunity of them taking the law in their hands, and it is something that we are now investigating. We've had statements from witnesses, and we shall have our file submitted to the office of the DPP for further guidance. Now, there's a social media story that has been going viral, where the media has been calling us about social media summons. That's not the way police summons witnesses for interrogation. I know there is a lot of debate about the recent State of Nation address by His Excellency the President, where he indicated that he had interested himself in some of the dealings at the Ministry of Finance and at Parliament. And for that matter, there's been a story that has been circulating on social media. But of course, as the police, we want to indicate that we don't have any confirmation about having summoned any Minister of Finance or Parliament officials. We know that investigation is a process. If we get any information that supports the summoning of any witness in this matter that is trending on social media, we shall alert you. Police summons are visible. When we give summons to people, there are those who have displayed them. There is a very clear, the language is very clear and on headed paper, but not just on social media the way it is. But if you want more information, you can even approach those people who have been named in that social media tweet. Approach them and get statements from them to confirm whether they are a subject of investigation at this stage or not. But the fact is that once we get information supporting any sensitive information, we shall share it with you. That is the point. Of concern of defilement of juveniles. One of those happened in Kamuli district, where we had a disturbing incident of aggravated defilement and trafficking of a 13-year-old girl. This was at Mbulamuti sub-county in Kamuli, where a 13-year-old girl victim and a pupil in one of the primary schools in Mbulamuti was lured by a prominent businessman and farmer identified as Jingo Muhammad, aged 43, from Mbulamuti Town Council. The mother of the victim had traveled to Kampala, and when she returned, she found when her daughter was in possession of 10,000 shillings, which she had not left with her. And upon further interview, the girl revealed that she's been repeatedly engaging in sexual acts with Jingo Muhammad in his house, and that she has been taking pills to prevent the pregnancy. So the matter was reported at Kamuli, and we had the suspect, Jingo Muhammad, arrested. And these are acts, of course, that we continue to condemn. A 13-year-old girl is a daughter to a 43-year-old. And the way you like your children to be in school should be the way that you should also support other people's daughters who are below the age of 17, of 18. Then we had another shocking defilement case in Busia, where the police there arrested a 34-year-old female suspect, Muzaki Caroline, for also repeatedly defiling or sexually abusing a 17-year-old male juvenile who is also a primary pupil, a primary 7 pupil in one of the schools in Busia. According to our findings, the suspect, Muzaki Caroline, would invite the victim to her home and sexually abuse him. This is an affair which continued, of course, despite several warnings from the mother of the victim. And So when the husband to the suspect learnt of the relationship, that is Egesa Kulumbano, they laid a trap, and he got his wife and the male victim. So they were arrested, and the wife charged with aggravated defilement. We had a few issues of domestic violence. One issue happened in Isinjiro, where we arrested a son who stabbed the father to death during an altercation. This horrific murder was against a 16-year-old, a 60-year-old who was stabbed to death by his own son. The deceased, Beinomigisha Francis, was a peasant from Kabatamba village, and the primary suspect, who is a son, was identified as Asimwe David, alias Yakobo Tumukwasiwe. We also arrested another suspect, identified as Biarohanga Joseph. So these are two sons who were arrested for having connived and stabbed their father to death. But the circumstances are that their father returned home from a social gathering and ate his dinner, then went to his bedroom and slept. So that is when the son, Asimwe David, started banging the door and demanding for food from their mother and female siblings. So when the father woke up to go and find out why they were causing commotion, that's when they drew the knives and stabbed their father. He succumbed to his injuries when he was rushed to Mbarara Regional Referral Hospital. The two suspects are in custody. Then we also had another incident where a 14-year-old male juvenile was arrested for stabbing his elder sibling, aged 39, identified as Ogwal Jackson. This happened in Aya Ilworo village, which is in Aleptong district. Of course, this is a victim who returned home while drunk and started fighting everybody in the home, including his younger brother called Okeng Calivan, for delaying to open the door. I don't know why drunkards, when they are returning from their drinking corners, are violent when they reach at home. The same thing happened with this other first, even this one. The man started hitting the door and disturbing the peace of other people. So in the process, he started fighting, and during the altercation, that is when this young 14-year-old male juvenile identified as Opio Ibrahim, picked a stick and hit their elder brother on the head. Apparently, it caused the death of their elder brother. So it is an unfortunate incident, of course, of domestic violence, where weapons, sticks are used in fights and can be life-threatening, like under this circumstance. We had two schools which were involved in strikes, and this is another concern that we found during the course of the week. Children have just gone back to school. Parents are grappling with payment of school fees. some parents have not paid, others have paid half fees. And then as soon as our children are in school, they start behaving in violent incidents of school strikes. One of the strikes happened at Amogu Seed Secondary School, again in Aleptong. Of course, when police learned about the strike, they responded. They found when the students had locked the offices of the head teacher, the director of studies, and the disciplinary room. And of course, the cause of the strike was they had their grievances of poor toilet facilities, poor feeding, lack of science teachers and equipments. And so when we responded, we managed to identify the ringleaders whom we arrested. But of course, these are sometimes issues that need to be managed. You as a student, before you even start engaging or having grievances on feeding, how much are you paying in terms of school fees? You may find you're paying 300,000, you want to eat meat, you want to eat chicken and whatever, things like that. Yeah? You know, some of these schools really come up with very low fees to cater for students who come from, of course, poor backgrounds and so on and so forth. So we need to appreciate. And so the DPCs intervened, and that matter of Amogo Secondary School was countered. The sanitary at the school. We called upon the board of directors to engage the parents and have issues resolved regarding the poor toilet facilities, the lack of science teachers and so on, but we warned the students against engaging in acts of violence because it disrupts their school calendar. Once again, once they are expelled, once a school is closed, so you find the school calendar is disrupted, you miss out on covering the syllabus and so on. Another school strike happened again, that is in Akibwa Secondary School, also in Aleptong, where we took a decision to have the school closed following a violent strike that happened at the school. And now with these ones of Akibwa Secondary School, they were demanding for the removal of the head teacher and the deputy head teacher. Now, since when is it that students had a say in the removal or deployment or placement of their respective head teachers? So this is a threat which was very violent, and despite efforts from Aleptong police, it was found necessary to have the school closed, and stakeholders like the DEO, the Local Council 5 Board of Governors, Parent-Teacher Association, were holding discussions to ensure that the school is reopened within the shortest time possible. So that was that, but we want to basically give certain tips to schools, because wherever we have such strikes like this, it really affects the school, you find a lot of school items, infrastructure are damaged, and we call upon the involvement of students themselves and the immediate supervisors, teachers at schools to always to look out for drastic changes in the behavior of students, which can lead to strikes, and also to we want a situation where, because when students are planning strikes, there's always leakage of information. Yes, and if you don't have intelligence within the students' community, you can't get leakages. So we encourage for at least having intelligence, and also having an initiative where concerns of students, where they can anonymously report, like having a suggestion or drop box in place. If there's a confidential line that students can use, is important. We are encouraging schools to have or create school threat assessment teams where we have counselors and a number of expertise in helping address concerns from students. Regular inspection of dormitories, classrooms, lockers, suitcases, because the perpetrators of school violence tend to smuggle tools, weapons that could be used in school violence. Being proactive and this helps in identifying, like having programs on bullying prevention, conflict resolution, anger management, involving students, and even listening to their grievances is also important. We also have certain head teachers and directors of studies who are very arrogant. You find parents going there, the man thinks he's above everything, does not give a listening ear, and this angers more students and even parents. Other incidents of child murders, one happened in Arua, where our police launched an investigation into the brutal murder of a 16-year-old male pupil of Cover's cell, that is in Aivu West Division. The deceased was identified as Waiswa Richard, a pupil of Cove Primary School, and it so happened that this 16-year-old had a fellow female pupil who was friendly to him. So he left their home at night to go and visit this girlfriend of his. And it is alleged that he was caught red-handed in the act of defilement. Now, instead of having these matters taken to police, he was seriously assaulted. There were burns which were inflicted on his body. Then there were multiple wounds on the head and other parts of the body that led to the death of this 16-year-old victim. Now, after the alleged murder, the suspects carried the body and dumped it in Oziava swamp, where it was discovered. Of course, it is a matter that we are investigating. The suspects were on the run, but we are doing everything within our means. We cannot allow for this incident of lawlessness to continue without bringing the perpetrators to book. In Budaka, investigating a child murder of a 2.5-year-old female victim identified as Sumaya Logose. We found the body dumped at the home of the grandfather called Walaka David. It had signs of severe burns, and we are now tracing for one called Kayendeke Marisa, the mother of the victim. Kayendeke Marisa is the one who brought the body and left it without explanation. But we're also looking for the whereabouts of the victim's mother called Kanyago Betty, and so that we can establish the circumstances under which a 2.5-year-old girl victim succumbed to injuries of burning. Another incident of child murder occurred in Katakwi, where a 5-month-old infant identified as Elangot was tragically murdered in Anyanga Bela village, that is in Katakwi, in the course of last week. According to the preliminary findings, it so happened that the father of the victim, called Ogwang James, returned home from visiting his second wife. And when he reached his home, he started by assaulting the first wife, called Achen Anna Grace. And during the altercation, the stick he was using to beat the mother, or to beat his wife, accidentally struck the 5-month-old victim, resulting in the untimely death. So the matter was brought to the attention of the police, and Ogwang James was arrested. So these are incidents of murders in domestic toxic settings, and we have always encouraged people to at least get in touch with police so that these matters are sorted.